Because I loved Jessica Miller, when she casually said she wanted to be a singer, I pulled every string I had to support her without ever asking for anything in return. But when she finally rose to the top of the music industry, she convinced herself that her success came solely from her own talent and had nothing to do with me. She dumped me without hesitation and ran back to her college crush, Michael Turner. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day before I had chosen to help her. This time, I walked past Jessica and picked another beautiful girl instead. That's when Jessica lost it, eyes bloodshot, her voice trembling, "James, you can't leave me." Soon after, she publicly announced her wedding to Michael Turner, captioning the post with, "After all the detours, I'm glad it's you." Jessica Miller, the national pop goddess, instantly dominated the trending lists. Within 5 minutes, every platform was pushing the news. The comments sections were flooded with blessings, heartbreak, and gossip. I always felt like Jessica had someone special in her heart. Didn't expect it to be President Turner. Power couple. She's loyal and elegant, total queen energy. So her past with James Bolton was fake. Cut it out. James kept tagging Jessica in posts, but she never responded. Dude was just a pathetic simp. As I read those comments, I quietly dialed Jessica's number. After being hung up on 7 times, she finally picked up. Her tone was frosty. "James, I'm getting married. Stop bothering me. I'm not some vine that needs your support. You've always tried to control me like I'm some doll in your fantasy. Only Michael Turner knows how to respect me and give me space. I got here by my own effort, not because of you. I'm done with your manipulative emotional control." I didn't say a word. She hung up before I could respond. Today was my birthday. It was also the day I got the terminal diagnosis, stage 4 stomach cancer. Outside the window, the wind whispered under a gray sky, just like the day I first met Jessica. She was standing on the school steps with a stack of books, looking at me with quiet indifference. From that moment on, I was like a moth drawn to a flame, eventually reduced to ashes in a hopeless wait. If it wasn't love, who would willingly be someone's lapdog? And yet, in the end, I had nothing. Everything I gave, she dismissed as manipulation. My body was collapsing in pain, my mind drowning in regret, but my eyes stayed glued to my phone screen, lifeless and dark. Even as I died, it never lit up. Then, I opened my eyes again. I heard my assistant's voice, "Mr. Bolton, all the new candidates are here. Which one do you like?" I snapped out of it and looked around. The modern furniture, minimalist layout was my old conference room. In front of me stood a row of nervous young women. Jessica was among them, standing at the very end. Even so, she was the brightest in the room. Her face was stunning, her presence cold and proud. Her clothes and shoes were plain and faded, but no amount of poverty could dim her glow. She was like a swan born in mud, so pure that anyone would want to pull her from the muck and crown her. I thought this memory would be fuzzy after all these years, but it was sharp, like yesterday. I remembered exactly what was about to happen. I had traveled back in time, to the day I first decided to back Jessica's career. I fell for her at first sight. Knowing she was broke, I had her sign with my entertainment agency and gave her everything, top resources, contracts, connections, all for free. But later, I found out it had all been her plan. I was just a tool she used to reach the top. Once she became famous, she accused me of being controlling and sexist. We fought constantly over nonsense. I worked myself to the bone to make her happy, begging sponsors, chasing investors, landing her top-tier opportunities. When she finally forgave me, it was with that typical, half-hearted attitude. In the entertainment world, she flourished under the spotlight and grew tired of someone like Masamion who spoiled her, obeyed her every word. She thought I was boring, outdated. She claimed her fame came from her talent, and I was just holding her back. When I got sick, she ghosted me, treated me like air, then cheated with Michael Turner, the man I hated most. He even stole company secrets from me through her, nearly destroying my business. I flipped through the resumes on the table, pausing on Jessica's. She was only 18 now, her ID photo showing a soft, determined girl. In person, she looked even better. She had been a school beauty since childhood, smart and responsible, always topping her class while juggling 5 part-time jobs. She'd won more academic awards than I could count. But now, my heart felt nothing. The urge to give her the world had vanished the moment I died. The assistant saw me looking at Jessica's file and stepped forward. Mr. Bolton, Jessica Miller is truly a standout. If you pick her, Jessica bit her lip and looked at me with those proud, confident eyes. She clearly thought I'd choose her again. Young, beautiful, purite was a face no man could resist. And yet, in the next second, I slid her resume aside and pulled out another. I choose her. Jessica blinked, stunned. Her long lashes trembled like a butterfly stung by betrayal. She wanted freedom. Then I'd give it to her. My company, Bolton Entertainment, was among the best in the country. Back then, I'd signed her on an A-level contract with a 70-30 profit split favoring her, and nobody straight out of school. I poured everything into promoting her. No other agency would have offered her such a deal. But if she didn't appreciate it, I'd take it all back. Let's see how far she gets on her own. The other girls still had a chance. I wasn't in a rush. Whoever proved her worth could rise to the top. Suddenly, one of the girls laughed. Her face was full of confidence. President Bolton picked me. I didn't think I even had a shot. Her name was Lily Bennett, the girl I had just chosen. Her resume stood out among the group. She had both the looks and the talent, but didn't try to show off. She wore all black, no makeup, her hair lazily tied up, exposing a delicate neck. Even so, her beauty was natural and eye-catching. It was a pleasure working with her. The moment I shook hands with Lily Bennett, Jessica Miller's delicate, beautiful face turned dazed and fragile. She looked like she was about to cry, clutching the hem of her faded dress so tightly her knuckles turned blue. Her eyes were red, and she resembled a helpless lop-eared rabbit. She muttered, as expected, "All men are liars. I can only rely on myself." The people around us wore subtle expressions after all, everyone knew how obsessed I used to be with Jessica. But I didn't flinch. "Miss Miller, please. Our company treats all talent equally. If you've got ability, you'll rise. I'm curious to see what you can actually do. But Miss Miller, ever since you signed with us, you've been spending far too much time mingling with other entertainment companies. Please review the Bolton Entertainment Artist Code." Jessica's expression shifted, her eyes welled with grievance as she snapped, "They tried to poach me, but I didn't leave. It was just one dinner. You picked someone else over this? I'm really disappointed in you." I calmly folded my fingers and said coldly, "They don't care about your talent. They only think you've got something going on with me. That's the weakness they were hoping to exploit. James Bolton, how could you think of me that way? I won't forgive you." She turned around like a wounded butterfly, flouncing off dramatically, but slowed her steps just enough to give me a chance to chase her, to apologize, like I always had. But when I didn't follow, she froze for a second, then ran. My assistant looked at me. "Mr. Bolton, should we stop her?" I didn't even look up. "No need. If she comes to her senses, she'll return. If she doesn't, then we'll enforce the termination clause and collect damages." No one dared say a word except Lily Bennett, who couldn't help but laugh softly. She caught my eye and gave me a slow nod, radiating elegance beneath her lazy posture. "Mr. Bolton, you've got some patience. If I'd talked to my old boss the way she did, I'd have been out on the street in 10 seconds. I chuckled. It's not that I wouldn't like Jessica to vanish, but there's always someone stupid enough to take her in. After I officially picked Lily, her schedule immediately filled up. Grateful, she worked non-stop and still found time to write 2 original songs for the company's music library. I pointed to the tracks, the same ones that had turned Jessica into a household name in my past life. Lily, who had been dozing on the couch a moment ago, shot upright. I'm sorry, Mr. Bolton. I rushed those songs. I'll do better next time. In my last life, I'd focused all my resources on Jessica, and every artist who even remotely resembled her got quietly paid off and pushed out. Looking at Lily's youthful, sincere face, I couldn't believe I'd let talent like this slip through my fingers before. It just proved how pathetic I'd been, chasing someone who never cared, and ending up with nothing. You need rest, I said gently, patting her shoulder like brushing off dust from my company's next treasure. Work hard, and I'll give you a raise. Her eyes glistened with tears. Mr. Bolton, with that promise, I'll work myself to the bone. Can I treat you to dinner tonight? I was just about to accept when my phone buzzed. It was a voice message from Jessica. James Bolton, I want those 2 songs. Her voice was cold, almost mechanical. Attached was a playlist, same 2 songs Lily had just composed. I replied, patiently, Lily reserved them for her own album. A moment later, Jessica sent another message. I opened the chat, typed a single question mark. And saw the red exclamation mark. She had blocked me. Again. The humiliation was bitter. She wasn't my artist, she treated me like her servant. I told my assistant, cancel all of Jessica's special privileges. From now on, she's just another artist. Nothing more. The more arrogant she became, the harder she'd fall. When we got to the restaurant, I pulled out a chair for Lily like a gentleman. Her face turned bright red. Thank you, Mr. Bolton. You didn't have to. I let her choose the dishes. Just as I was about to take out my card, she grabbed my hand. Please let me pay tonight. I've never had a boss like you. You actually treat me like a human being. She shared her story, being bullied in the industry, facing unspoken rules and manipulations that nearly broke her. Bolton Entertainment was her last shot. If this didn't work out, she was going home to be married off by her parents. She said maybe all that bad luck was just leading her to meet me. I listened, weighing her sincerity in my mind, when suddenly the sound of porcelain shattering cut through the air. James Bolton, what the hell are you doing? Jessica stood in the doorway, trembling with red eyes and broken pride. So it was her all along. No wonder you chose Lily. You've been in love with her this whole time. I should have known you were no different from all those disgusting men. Lily banged the table and stood up before I could speak. Miss Miller, are you okay? This is a public restaurant. Could you not bring your drama here? Her tone turned icy. Mr. Bolton is young, rich, and attractive. Even if I wanted him, it still depends on whether he wants me. Her words were bold enough to make me nearly choke on my drink. Jessica ignored her and stared at me with wounded disbelief. James, you never used to be like this. She was right. I'd kept a distance from every woman, never accepting private invitations or even casual touches. Friends mocked me for being old-fashioned, but I did it all for her. And in return, she assumed I had no options, no charm, no one else who wanted me. She trampled my loyalty without remorse. Lily glanced at the middle-aged man standing awkwardly next to Jessica. Miss Miller, what's this got to do with you anyway? Don't you have someone else with you? She smirked. TSK. Your taste really is trash. I'm just making it clear to Manager Jones that I won't be joining his company, Jessica Miller said, shooting daggers at Lily Bennett with her eyes. James, are you seriously going to let her slander me like this? Aren't you afraid I'll actually walk away and never look back? She looked at me, waiting for my reaction like I would always cave, but I kept eating calmly. Finally, I spoke without even looking at her. Miss Miller, if you're really planning to leave, make sure you go through the proper procedure with HR. Terminating an A-level artist contract with Bolton Entertainment means paying 10 times the penalty fee. Just imagining Jessica handing over that kind of cash made my appetite spike. The middle-aged man sitting next to her, Xavier Jones, was a manager from another entertainment company. I'd seen him before at some industry event. Apparently, he was one of the vultures trying to poach her. But the second he noticed I wasn't even looking at Jessica the same way, all that fake enthusiasm vanished. He gave me an awkward smile. Mr. Bolton, I'll treat you to dinner another day. I've got something urgent, excuse me. He left so fast, he didn't even glance at Jessica. She panicked. James, are you still mad at me? Her voice trembled, her eyes full of unease. You didn't actually believe what she said, did you? I've been waiting for your message every single day. I gave in and sent you a voice memo asking for the song, but you ignored me. I just happened to bump into Manager Jones here, and yeah, he mentioned switching companies, but I turned him down immediately. Tears streamed down her face like pearls off a snapped necklace, beautiful, heartbreaking, almost cinematic. A crowd had gathered. People were filming us on their phones. But the Jessica I knew, the one who cared so much about appearances that she wouldn't even let me be seen with her in public, didn't seem to care anymore. She was staring at me like I was her last lifeline. I finally looked at her. Miss Miller, do you think I don't know you've been stringing me along this whole time? I'm done. You wanted freedom, and now you have it. Learn your place. I won't waste my time getting revenge on someone who doesn't even understand what she lost. I'm just reclaiming everything I gave you. You said you could rely on yourself, right? Well, here's your chance. I was trying to be as civil as I could, but if she pushed again, I wouldn't be polite anymore. Her voice cracked. What about us? Weren't we together? Didn't you say you'd love and protect me forever? Why is everything different now? She staggered back like she couldn't breathe, laughing bitterly. James, is lying to yourself fun? I don't believe you don't love me anymore. Just wait, once I become world famous all on my own, you'll regret this. And with that, she ran off again. But something wasn't right. That confidence, could she have been reborn too? And what about Michael Turner? Was he also sent back? I kept a neutral face, but cold thoughts flickered in my mind. If they'd both come back, good, we could settle everything from the last life together. Jessica didn't cancel her contract. Instead, she started grinding through every assignment the company gave her, trying to prove she could succeed without me. But she was proud, too proud. In the past, she never wanted to socialize, and I always handled the meetings and deals for her. People would bend over backward when I showed up in person, and I'd even pay out of pocket to smooth over her roadblocks. She got used to praise, thinking it was easy to gain resources. In this new timeline, she thought her past life experience would give her an edge, but the reality hit hard. Without me, she couldn't even compete with the new rookies who understood the rules of the game. Her connections were weak. Her efforts led to nowhere. She even punched a well-known director who tried to grope her, and after that, all she could get were third-rate variety shows she used to mock. Other artists on the same shows avoided being on screen with her, afraid her beauty would make them look bad or that they'd get dragged into some drama. She got sidelined, barely any airtime. That's when it really started to sink in how much I had mattered in her past life. I had opened the door, shielded her, carried her. But even now, she told herself all I'd done was shorten her timeline to fame, that she could have made it eventually anyway. Her jealousy toward Lily Bennett grew every day, but she couldn't just walk in and demand to see me anymore. So she sent messages to my assistant, asking if I was trying to block her. The assistant told her the truth: she was already lucky. She at least had assignments. Many newcomers didn't even get that. Jessica went to the music library again, looking for songs, but her access was downgraded. She wasn't important enough anymore. No one owed her favors. All she could get were leftover sea-level tracks, and every song she released flopped. Reality beat her down, and she finally started taming her temper. She no longer demanded the best, no longer rejected small-time gigs, and began walking the hard path most rookies did. But deep down, she still thought I'd come crawling back one day. She believed that James Bolton, who loved her so desperately, couldn't have changed. Or maybe she just didn't want to accept that I had stopped being her bootlicker. That's why she didn't reach out again until a few months later, when Lily Bennett had written more than 10 songs, and I announced that her debut album would be our next flagship project. At the quarterly planning meeting, I publicly confirmed that Lily's album was our top priority. Jessica finally broke. That evening, I parked the car, locked it, and was about to press my fingerprint to open the front door when I saw a frail figure huddled by my doorstep. Jessica. She was wearing only a thin white dress, clinging to her perfect figure and pale legs. Her long hair spilled over her back, and her delicate face looked both fragile and helpless. She hugged her knees, warming her hands with her breath. She'd clearly been waiting for hours. When she saw me, her eyes lit up. She stood up too fast, nearly fainting from low blood sugar. Her red lips parted slightly. Her weakness made her strangely radiant. "James, you're back. I'm so cold. Hold me." She stumbled toward me, ready to throw herself into my arms. I raised a hand to stop her. "Miss Miller, please have some self-respect." Her hair was messy, her fingers trembled as she clung to my coat, tears rolling down her cheeks. "When you were by my side, I never had to party with strangers. I never had to drink with perverts. Some guy tried to grope me, almost kicked him to death. Then I realized how well you protected me. Without you, those people would have eaten me alive." Jessica's voice trembled, her eyes swimming with tears. "James, I admit I was wrong. Please, can we stop fighting now?" I stared at her and smiled, a cold smirk tugging at my lips. "Jessica, it seems like you still haven't understood the situation. You're just another artist at my company now, nothing more. To be blunt, you're an unfinished product." I lifted her chin with 2 fingers, my tone playful but distant. "If you want me to keep you under my control, then stop pretending to be pure and don't disgust me with fake virtue." She looked at me like she was trying to find the shadow of the James Bolton who used to treat her like treasure. But my eyes didn't lie, and when she saw I wasn't acting, her voice shook. "James, when did you become so cruel? How could you talk to me like that? Do you really think I'm that kind of woman? If it weren't for you, why would I do any of this?" I looked her up and down. "If you don't want people to treat you like a cheap woman, don't dress like one and squat at a man's doorstep in the middle of the night." I tried to walk past her, but she hugged me from behind. "James, please, I know you're still mad. I really messed up. You can't leave me." Her voice cracked as she held on tightly. "You know me better than anyone. I couldn't believe a man would treat me so well and not want something in return. I got engaged to Michael Turner just to test how much you cared. I know it was wrong. I was spoiled by you. After I broke off the engagement and went to look for you, you were gone. Vanished. Don't you remember what I told you? My father abused me. My stepdad tried to violate me. My own brother nearly sold me to human traffickers. I've never been able to trust men. What was I supposed to do?" I felt her tears soaking the back of my collar, and all I wanted to do was laugh. So the agony she gave me in my last life was all because of this sob story? Ridiculous. Fortunately, my lovesick self died with my cancer. I pried her arms away. "Jessica, it's because I loved you and understood your trauma that I tolerated your madness. But that James Bolton, the one who loved you unconditionally, died. He died of stomach cancer in a hospital bed you never even visited. That was the first time I saw the selfish Jessica Miller completely lost. Her face was blank, like her soul had been stripped out. She shook her head. You're lying. It's because I'm not famous yet, so you're looking down on me. There's no way that James the First, no, the only man who truly loved me, could be gone. I'll become even more famous than I was before, and then you'll regret everything. I didn't care whether she became a global star or faded into nothing. What caught me off guard was the sudden call from my former rival. Let Ryan go. Michael Turner's voice came through the phone, clear and arrogant. James, let her go. Name your price. Just think of it as a little compensation from a loser to his rival. So he'd been reborn too. Just perfect. 30 times the penalty fee, I said flatly. If you want her, pay up. He snapped, quit bluffing. You think jacking up the number will scare me? I'm not some nouveau riche like you. That's chump change to me. Then pay it all at once and get her out of my sight. Michael was so obsessed with saving face, he'd never show weakness to me. In my past life, I always had to swallow my pride to maintain appearances in front of him for Jessica's sake. Fine, he scoffed, and hung up. No negotiating, no arguing, wanted Jessica to hear that call and think he was her knight in shining armor. He was sure I'd go back on my word, but this time, I didn't care. I called Lily Bennett that night and told her we'd release her debut album on the same day Jessica would be leaving the company. What do you want to name it? I asked. Lily smiled, eyes bright. Let's call it Gift. I think coming to Bolton Entertainment and meeting you was the best gift I've ever received. The irony was too sweet, Jessica leaving and Gift launching on the same day. Michael footed the bill for promotions and penalties. I got free publicity and a clean slate. Perfect. Jessica didn't want to leave, of course. But after getting blocked repeatedly and finally hearing the call Michael played for Herm talking about her like a product being handed off, she terminated her contract. Just as I'd planned. That day, Gift dropped across every platform. The entire album was filled with Lily's original songs, including the 2 smash hits that had once catapulted Jessica to stardom. This time, they were the centerpiece of Lily's debut, and with Michael's money funding the launch, the album exploded online. Lily's stunning looks and raw talent rocketed her to fame. Brand deals poured in, and media started calling her the next pop queen. What I didn't expect were 2 bonus tracks on the album, one praising the company, and one dedicated to me. They were cheeky, shameless, flattering and absolute hits. Both songs climbed the charts, doubling as brilliant marketing for Bolton Entertainment. For a while, new talent flooded our gates non-stop. President Bolton, I'll keep writing hit songs and bringing in money for the company. Lily, now a rising star, still looked nervous as she glanced up at me. You won't fire me, right? I laughed. You're the company's golden goose now. Why would I let you go? Then let's renew the contract, she said with a grin, pulling a document from her chest like a magician. It was a 20-year renewal contract she had already filled out. Her only request was that I never kick her out. I stared at the paper and slowly typed a single question mark on my phone. Lily was still young. Her thoughts were written all over her face. Her innocent eyes were full of admiration and something else, maybe fear. Maybe she'd heard what happened to Jessica and worried I'd discard her just the same. I didn't sign it, but I gave her one sentence: you're different from Jessica. I won't treat you that way. Unfortunately, that sentence was overheard by 2 people: Jessica Miller, who'd come to collect her things, and Michael Turner, who tagged along. Jessica had lost so much weight she looked like a gust of wind could knock her over. Gone was the flashy national idol from my past life. She looked hollow, lifeless. The moment she heard my words, her body swayed and she nearly collapsed. Jessica staggered, and Michael Turner reached out to support her. She shook him off and turned to face me and Lily, her voice so faint it could have been carried away by the breeze. "James, you're the coldest man I've ever known. I'll never forgive you again." Michael glared at me like a sore loser. "Jessica's mine now. I'll make her a bigger star than ever. I bankrupted you once, I can do it again. Just wait." With that, he rushed off after her like a pathetic knight chasing a queen who no longer had a throne. Lily gave them both the middle finger without hesitation, rolling her eyes. So basic, yet so bold. The audacity. I nodded. Michael was still the same arrogant fool, this time paying 30 times the contract penalty just to feel like a man. Did he really think he'd get as lucky as last time? After Jessica signed with Chuanxing Entertainment, Michael pulled out all the stops for her. But the truth was, he had no idea how to run a talent. He was too busy expanding markets and making public appearances to actually manage her. That meant Jessica had to socialize on her own. One night, she got drunk at a business party and passed out. Some fat old CEO pinned her to a sofa, hand over her mouth, stripping off her clothes. If her agent hadn't burst in at the last second, things would have ended badly. Michael went ballistic. He retaliated against the guy in the business world, crushed him financially, and forced him to apologize to Jessica face to face. But that one incident spiraled into something else. Now everyone whispered that Jessica was Michael's kept woman. People in the industry knew not to mess with her, but also not to take her seriously. She had power, sure, but it was borrowed, and it came at the cost of her reputation. Then one early morning, I got a call from a strange number. I rejected it. A few minutes later, I got a text message, "James, what's the point of compensation if it comes too late?" I almost got violated by that fat pig. But when I was with you, no one dared touch me. In our past life, you always protected my dignity even when people mocked you as a simp. But Michael? He paraded me like a trophy. I see it clearly now. Is it too late? I stared at the message for a second, then blocked the number. Jessica was trying to prove herself, releasing a huge album just like she did in our past. Lafido compete with Lily and win me back. But the results were tragic. Only a few hundred people listened online. Despite the money poured in, there was no buzz, no traction. Michael didn't understand music. He didn't know what songs fit Jessica's voice, what kind of producers to hire, how to market her image, how to shape a star. I had done all that in the last life, step by step, day and night, building her brand. He just threw money at her and thought success would magically happen. He couldn't understand how she became a national idol under my care but was now barely a whisper. And because his ego couldn't accept that I was better, he started hyping Jessica aggressively while trying to smear Lily. The worst part? Jessica went along with it. In her past life, she would have died before doing any self-promotion. She had that pristine, aloof goddess image. Now, she was starring in trash dramas, showing up on shady variety shows, and trading her privacy for relevance. She'd become just another clickbait queen, no better than the people she once scorned. My trash folder was full of texts from unknown numbers, complaints, apologies, emotional outbursts, but I didn't read any of them. I had my system set to auto-filter them out. I didn't care. Meanwhile, I kept Lily far away from all that mess. No low-quality gigs. No gossip shows. Just pure music. She thrived. After just 1 year, she was invited to be a mentor on a top-tier singing competition. I personally handled every PR battle for her. If someone slandered her, I sued them. If trolls went too far, I had lawyers send warning letters. Lily was grateful, so grateful she wrote me 3 more songs filled with over-the-top praise. She was growing into a legend, while Jessica was burning out, barely hanging on to fame through controversy. And just like before, Michael tried his old tricks. He approached Lily behind the scenes and offered triple her salary, said he'd cover any contract penalties, and promised her creative freedom. All she had to do was leak some intel about Jiru Entertainment. Lily agreed. Then she walked into my office, dropped all the paperwork he gave her on my desk, and grinned. "Mr. Bolton, looks like we're about to get paid again." Ever since she learned her first album had been bankrolled with Michael's penalty money, she'd started treating him like her personal ATM. Her first reaction wasn't to refuse, it was to monetize the situation for the company. I told her to give him some harmless info to build trust. After he took the bait, I let her feed him false updates about our project launches. He believed every word and fell hard. Furious, Michael hired private investigators to dig up dirt on Lily. They found photos of her at upscale banquets, surrounded by older men. He plastered the images across social media and pushed a scandal onto the trending list, claiming she was a kept woman. Then, just to taunt me, he sent me the whole set. For a moment, it worked. The internet went crazy. Accusations flew. But when I was drafting our PR response, Lily burst into the room, panicked. "Mr. Bolton, you're not going to fire me, are you?" She didn't care about her reputation, only that I might push her away. I couldn't help but laugh. "Just focus on writing songs. I'll handle this." Her eyes turned red. "You're not going to ask if the rumors are true?" "I know what kind of person you are," I said. "I believe in you." She blinked. "I've been in this industry long enough to read people. And your eyes, Lily. They're clear. You've got nothing to hide." As I got closer, her face turned pink. She was still a kid, no experience with love, just admiration and loyalty she didn't know how to express. "Mr. Bolton," she whispered, tears spilling down her cheeks, "I'll follow you forever. I can't always hide behind you. You don't need to fight this one. I'll take care of it myself." And she did. That same afternoon, the ultra-private Bennett family, the kind of people who never posted anything online, issued a public statement confirming Lily's identity and slammed lawsuits on everyone who spread the rumors. The entire internet was stunned. Lily Bennett, the nation's top singer, was actually a hidden heiress. A true, untouchable second generation from the Bennett family. After seeing the trending searches, I finally understood something, as her boss Lily Bennett was actually a top-tier heiress, born white, rich, and beautiful. She had rebelled against her family's expectations, choosing to build her own future from scratch. If she failed, she'd just go back and inherit the Bennett family empire. That explained everything. In my previous life, this kind of rare talent had vanished from the industry. Now I knew why. She had been fired by me, blinded as I was by love, and quietly returned home. "Mr. Bolton, will you fire me?" she asked, her voice soft, her eyes anxious, looking like she might cry if I so much as hesitated. I let out a sigh and shook my head. "Of course not, Miss Lily." Her face lit up like the morning sun. "I knew it. You're the best, James." She suddenly threw her arms around me, hugged me tight, then bolted out the door, her earlobes red enough to make me smile. Meanwhile, Michael Turner's schemes had failed yet again. Worse, now he'd offended the Bennett family and had to fork over a significant chunk of his personal assets to clean up the mess. Step by step, every move he made trying to challenge me had ended in him paying me. Unknowingly, he was draining the working capital of Chuanxing Entertainment dry. Eventually, he realized he was no longer qualified to compete with me on major entertainment projects. His only hope was for Jessica Miller to regain her former glory and salvage his pride. So he bet everything on her second album. But all Michael knew how to do was stir up hype. And hype without substance fizzles fast. The temporary traffic came and went. Jessica's name lost its shine. Her image once pristine and untouchable became permanently stained with the label of a clout-chasing artist. Good brands stopped coming to her. Album production is expensive, and Michael's funds were bleeding out. With no more leaks from inside my company, Jessica no longer able to feed him intel, his underhanded moves were ineffective. Chuanxing Entertainment, once one of the top players in the field, steadily slipped into decline because of Michael's endless bad decisions. Eventually, at a shareholders' meeting, he was officially removed from his CEO role. His seat was taken by Ethan Mitchell, a much more strategic man from the Maney family branch. Ethan saw the writing on the wall. Every time he met me, he was all smiles and deference, never daring to offend me. While he quietly grew his influence, Michael's fate was sealed. He was stripped of all qualification as a successor. The collapse hit him hard. His mind snapped. He turned on Jessica, blaming her for everything. He publicly slandered her online, even showing up at her company to curse and hit her. People thought it was hilarious and filmed it, uploading videos that ironically gave Jessica a brief surge of traffic. But Jessica despised him even more after that. She believed that if Michael hadn't interfered, she would have still been a Jiru artist. Maybe I'd have taken her back. After months of crawling through the industry, Jessica finally understood how deeply she regretted leaving me and how laughable it had been to claim she'd succeed without me. She tried reaching out, but all her messages were filtered and blocked automatically. No replies. She had no idea where to find me. I'd disappeared from her world. Sometimes she dreamed of the old days, when I did everything for her, took every insult just to stay by her side. But the moment she woke up, all that remained was the cold realization that she'd faded before she ever truly bloomed. At her new company, people avoided her because of her rumored past with Michael Turner. Ethan Mitchell gave her no support. All the arrogance she once had was a product of my indulgence. And now that indulgence was gone. She lost her sharp edges, her pride dulled. She ended up live streaming and selling products to make ends meet. She was no longer the untouchable, distant goddess. She'd learned how to grovel, how to flatter, how to navigate the bloodthirsty rules of survival. But it was all too late. She could only regret what she'd thrown away. Every now and then, after a long, exhausting day, she'd look up and see a billboard flashing Lily Bennett's face. Or she'd hear my voice on a primetime interview as the CEO of Jiru Entertainment. She'd freeze, heart sinking, eyes brimming with tears, overwhelmed by the memory of the man who once loved her more than anyone ever would. James Bolton, the man she lost forever. Years later, Lily stood on the Grammy stage holding the Album of the Year trophy. Her first words into the mic were, "Thank you, Mr. Bolton from Jiru. Without you, I wouldn't be here." The audience erupted. The world now knew her as a genius producer and singer-songwriter, with a complicated personality and an elite background. But every time she won an award, she mentioned me genuinely, with affection in her eyes, like a girl still in awe of the man who believed in her. And that was just the beginning. After Lily, I trained one superstar after another. And each time they accepted an award, the first name they thanked without rehearsing, without prompting was mine. Jiru Entertainment's global influence skyrocketed. Eventually, it became the top entertainment company in the world. I didn't stop there. I started my own entertainment empire. As chairman of Jiru Group, I married into the combined power of the Tang and Lin families. With those alliances, I became the youngest billionaire in global history. The memory of that lonely hospital bed in my past life, the regret, the pain faded into nothing. My future was paved in light, legacy, and limitless victories. And that was just the beginning. The end.